Wonderful clean lines, perfect shapes and designs, all made from scratch using recycled brass. Come along for the journey. The Kibera Art Center is a community-based organization specializing in jewelry production. The project uses arts to raise the standard of living of its members and pride in the community. Fine sea sand is mixed with molasses and allowed to dry. Once the mixture is dry, it is used to make molds for the molten brass. There are two methods of sand casting. In the first method, the pattern, which is carved out of wood, is placed on a flat surface with a plastic cylinder around it. The sand mixture is then filled in and packed using a hammer. The pattern is removed, leaving a negative of the shape required in the sand. The second method begins with the sand being placed in the plastic cylinder on a board, which is packed in with a hammer. The top layer is scraped to make it a little rough, and a soil and ash mixture layered on. A three-dimensional ring pattern is then placed inside and pushed into the bottom layer. More sand is then added on top and packed in. The sand is loosened from the cylinder and marked along the edge. Here you can see the clear ash and soil layer. It is then split along that layer and the pattern removed, leaving a three-dimensional negative mold. The mark along the edge helps with alignment when putting it back together. The molds are now dried completely and hardened on the chimney of the kiln. Once hard, a hacksaw is used to cut into the hardened mold to make a gate through which the molten metal is poured. A pressurized tank is filled with kerosene. Air is then manually pumped into the tank to increase pressure. Scrap brass pieces are then melted in the kiln at about 900 to 940 degrees centigrade. A specialized nozzle expels the kerosene as a vapor, which is then lit to heat the kiln. The molten brass is scooped out of the kiln in a ladle and poured into the molds prepared earlier. The brass hardens almost instantaneously into the shape of the mold, from which it is now removed. Some sand sticks to the casting and is removed. The brass casting is allowed to cool in the air and then dipped in water. The extra brass from the gate is removed with a hacksaw. The piece is held tight in a vise as the gate is chopped off. These offcuts are all recycled. Next, the pieces are taken for grinding to remove all the extra metal from casting. Various gauges of sandpaper are used to smoothen the surface of each item, starting with the coarse gauge and gradually getting finer along the line. The pieces are then polished to a perfect shine with this motorized brush. The pendants receive the same treatment. A hole is then drilled at the top to connect the chain. Brass wire is wound into a narrow coil and cut with wire cutters. The individual links are bent open with pliers, joined to the next link, and closed until the chain reaches the desired length. The chain is washed in citric acid from lemon juice, along with the pendant, and finished off with a soapy bath to give it a great shine. Beautiful, detailed pieces of brass jewelry, created here at the Kibera Art Center, each one proudly tagged Made in Kenya.